pretty jaggy, but of course we can modify these. Put it down to 10, maybe put the amplitude down to, say, 1. Take out some of that jaggedness. It gives a little bit of curvature. Unfortunately, with an animation, you're always going to have that exact same curving, which, if you think about it, why would slight imperfection always stay the same amount imperfect when you have a projected light? We're assuming that this is changing somehow and kind of wiggling around because of something moving in the projector that shouldn't be. So a better one to use is the Perlin Noise 2D, which has a seed value. Now this gives close to the same type of a result with the jaggy lines. I changed my frequency to 20 and the amplitude to 5, which gives lines a little closer to what we saw in the intro video. But then we can animate the seed value here. Let's put a seed of 1 there, and I don't know, like 765 here, just a random offset. And as you go through it, it just climbs up. But every frame does get a different amount of jitter to it. So we can go between these two and we see, yeah, it changes. So when animated and rendered out, these lines will be jiggly instead of just being perfectly static. Another thing we can do is create a texture for this material here, which we actually already have on there. We're going to make a cloud texture, and we're going to make this affect the color, only 50% for the color, totally on the alpha. Let's pull up the color ramp here so we can change the color we want to affect. Let's do something like that, see how that looks. You'll notice that these kind of darker spots stay the same throughout on all the faces, and they should really run kind of in lines like the light is scanning across or something. So to do that, you just change the scale to, I'm going to try 10. Let's see. It makes a pretty tight pattern. Maybe not quite long enough. So let's pop the X. Whoops. That one you want 10. The X and Y values to 0.25 to stretch them out further that direction. That might be a little too stretched out. Maybe I just have this set too high. Again, something you kind of have to play around. Depends on your scene and the size of everything. That looks pretty good. So we have now the scan lines running in there. We have the jiggly edges. We have the glow. The only thing we don't have is something projecting from the bottom up to this. And now, one way to achieve that would be to just put in a lamp, and we want I believe a spot lamp. Center that below it. Rotate it around 180. 180, I don't know why this isn't... Oh, it's not constraining because control locates my cursor for me. But we just do that, hop to the light settings here, and let's see, we want spot shape, we want it to be a square, and we want the halo, and let's just give it a quick test render, see how that looks with the haloing. Pretty good. Probably going to want to change the color to that bluish. And let's change... where is that here? Let's change the fall off on it? Yep. To right about there. And let's see. Nope. I'm going to have to go probably to the top of those boxes. Right about there. Let's try that. There we go. So now we kind of have like that light shining up from the bottom, projecting this hologram into the world. And then of course, you can do any kind of animating with that. And this is just one way to do it. Another way, you could like add a particle system underneath it and use a force field to pull all the points. or do something with hooks to the outside. Again, it would depend on what you're making a hologram of. Like in the scene that you saw at the beginning, we don't need a light source at all because all we're seeing is the hologram. Now, just to show the versatility of this, we're going to just pop on a Suzanne model, give it the same material, kind of rotate it so it faces towards the camera a bit, probably put a subsurf of 2 on it, and we will set that smooth and give it a quick render and see what that looks like. So there we go, we got a Suzanne model here sitting in the back. Because of that range thing, we're really not getting too much of the outline on the model. So let's pull that in closer. Just kind of to show it right smack dab in the middle here. I think it needs to be rotated a little bit. See how that looks. There we go, we kind of have like the Suzanne head in the intersection, though it almost looks like it's in this frontal square. A few things are going a little goofy with that Perlin noise, which we actually can modify by changing the... No, wait. I think we just get rid of the sampling. Someplace there's an option, I think. Oh, actually, I think it would be... Yeah, I think you would just up the octave count to make that more accurate. Because when Freestyle detects the edges, these edges are kind of conflicting with each other, and it's having trouble keeping these edges to themselves, I guess. But that's basically how it's done. Simple and easy. And again, it looks just like this. Great background, nice sci-fi look, and you can really do with anything. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, let me pop back into Blender here. Okay, so we are going to delete the Suzanne head there, and let's tab into edit mode, subdivide this a few times, do it again, rendering it out that is, and you'll notice nothing changed. But we can, with Freestyle, we could say we wanted to do this line, Control E, we can mark Freestyle edge. So now we have a ring going around this cube in the center. That is a Freestyle edge. And we can do the same thing with this and with this. Control E, mark Freestyle edge, tab out. Now when we render it, that front cube, I was going to say should have, but we forgot to turn those on. Edge marks. We want to select edge marks in the visible and in the hidden. Now when we render it, we get all of those edge marks that we just put in. This is handy for if you're doing something not squares and you're finding that it's not giving you enough of these brighter colored lines. You can just put edge marks wherever you want, put in loop cuts to put in edge marks, and you can define exactly where you want these lines to go. I mean, I could, if I really wanted to, theoretically make 2 meshes. I could take the cube and then I could make a duplicate of it and just leave edges in where I wanted lines to go and do one with the Freestyle, and actually at that point I would be better off just using a wire material, because when you use wire material, that already does all of the edges for us. But this is an easier way, utilizing Freestyles, to select a lot of those edges for you, so you don't have to go through and create a mesh that's just the edges that you want visible in your hologram, and then rendering it with a wire and mixing just like I did here. So there you have it, how to create an hologram effect in Blender utilizing Freestyles. Quick and simple, and it looks good. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.